Fears of a nuclear disaster were raised after a fire broke out at the Zaporizhzhia power plant as it came under sustained attack by Russian forces. The International Atomic Energy Agency says all of the site's reactors are stable. No radiation was released. And joining me to discuss this is Robert Kelly, Distinguished Associate Fellow at Stockholm International Peace Research Institute and the former director of the International Atomic Energy Agency. And he is also a licensed nuclear engineer. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for being with us. Without being alarmist, this is a massive plant. So how dangerous was this attack?
I don't think the attack itself was dangerous. The way things worked out, they attacked somebody for some reason, attacked a building on the external part of the plant. It wasn't the plant itself. I listened to the young lady there before the break, and I think one of the things we need to do is put some perspective on what's going on there. There will not be another Chernobyl. Chernobyl was a very specific case, something very unusual, and to try to equate what's going on there, I think is very different. Chernobyl is if you had the pilot of a 747 just turned off all of the safety systems and plunged straight into the ground. That's not going to happen here. If I don't mean to make light of it, but the worst that could happen at Zaporizhzhia is something like a Fukushima type accident, which didn't have widespread consequences and did not pose that much of a threat to the local area.
I think a lot of people would look at Fukushima and say that that was a very worrying and disastrous situation that happened there. If something like Fukushima was to happen in Europe, that would cause a large scale of destruction.
No, it would not cause a lot of destruction. It would cause local damage. It would cause problems to the water supply in that area, but it would not be a massive explosive release like Chernobyl was. I don't think that we want to make that kind of comparison. And let me quickly say that when I say it would be similar to a Fukushima, what we're saying is that's the worst possible case. Something like a Fukushima where there's a meltdown, but it's contained within the containment buildings. That's just not on a par with Chernobyl. And I think it's been very irresponsible to say that something there would be like 6 Chernobyls. It's nothing like that. And it is under control as far as we can see.
Can you explain for the lay members of the audience, myself included, why you think that wouldn't be the risk, scientifically speaking? Just walk us through that, because of course, when we wake up to headlines about a nuclear power plant being on fire, people are concerned. So just explain to us scientifically how these plants are built and why it wouldn't be this kind of risk.
This plant has a very large boiler inside of it that is fueled with nuclear fuel that produces a lot of heat and produces steam. And in that situation, when you turn it off, you turn it off. After it's been turned off, it remains very hot for days, but it's nowhere near producing the kind of energy that it was when it was at full power. So you're in a situation there where if the cooling pumps continue to work, absolutely nothing will happen. It's not a problem at all. Then you can move into situations like, say, the 3 Mile Island accident 40 years ago in the United States, where there was melting inside the reactor building, inside the core, and nothing got out whatsoever. So I think the worst that we could be looking at in this situation right now is something like 3 Mile Island, where nothing got out of the building. Yes, in Fukushima, it did get out of the building, but that was a really unprecedented accident where they had no emergency power whatsoever.
So talk to us a bit about the strategy behind this, because we also know that Russian forces are now in charge. They have seized Chernobyl as well as with this nuclear power plant. So what is the strategy behind taking control of these power plants?
The strategy here is to put the entire country into a cold shutdown position and cause the people there to be in the dark and be cold and be hungry. If you turn off all of the nuclear plants, and there are several others besides the one we're looking at, that's 50% electricity in the country. This is designed to hurt the population very badly. It's to create a siege from within the country. If they can't get electricity from any source, they're going to be cold and hungry and die. And I think that's a terrible humanitarian thing. You may have thought in my first comments there I was not worried about the humanitarian thing. I am. I'm saying the technical part of it's not a problem. But the idea of starving these people to death and freezing them to death is horrible.
I think what I was trying to understand is the fact that are Russian forces also trying to alarm a population? And that is the question, because when you see headlines like nuclear power plant in the hands of Russian forces, it does give rise to fears that people could be affected by radiation. And my question is that also part of the modus operandi?
Well, I'd have to agree that that can be part of the modus operandi. The political propaganda value of this is very important. Of course, the people who are controlling the plant right now are the Russians, so they're going to be the first to suffer if they do some damage to the plant. But I think the real purpose of this is to freeze the people. This war has really been a very strange thing for something in Central Europe, to attack the civilian population so much. And if there's no electricity in Kiev, there are an awful lot of things that aren't going to work well, and there are going to be a lot of people who are very uncomfortable, if not dead. This is to hurt the people one-on-one.
Robert Kelly, Distinguished Associate Fellow at Stockholm International Peace Research Institute and former Director of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Thank you for being on the programme.